We begin the day with a warning from Europe to TikTok. Stop endangering our children or face a very expensive reckoning. Today, the European Commission took aim at the most popular social media platform among young people, the Chinese-owned TikTok, saying its design is addictive. The European Commission says TikTok violates Europe's online safety rules and suggested the app disabled what is known as infinite scrolling. Now, infinite scrolling allows people to quickly cycle through millions of videos. TikTok rejects the claims, calling them categorically false. But the tide of public opinion, it is changing. Countries are banning social media for young people altogether. If TikTok does not change its design, it could be hit by massive fines.
The measures that TikTok has in place are simply not enough. Screen time management and parental controls are not properly working on TikTok. TikTok did not properly assess how its addictive features can harm users, and they did not implement effective measures to mitigate such risks. TikTok now has the right to defend themselves.
Well, I'm joined now by Terry Schultz. She's our correspondent in Brussels. She's been following this story for us. Terry, TikTok is addictive by design. That is the accusation that was delivered today by the European Commission. I mean, how does the Commission define addictive by design?
I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about this term, addictive by design, Brent, as social media practices come under fire in so many countries, as we're seeing now, and right here in the European Union as well. Now, when it comes to TikTok, the Commission listed off practices that sound so familiar to many of us and that many of us probably get stuck in. Infinite scrolling, push notifications, these recommendations that are highly individualized that come up on your screen and basically compel you to keep clicking and clicking and clicking. The European Commission says that these can be very harmful, especially to young people and what they call vulnerable adults. And they say TikTok's simply not doing enough to stop it.
How exactly does TikTok's design lead the platform into the crosshairs of the EU? I mean, what's got, I guess, attracted the ire of Europe?
That's right. Now that the European Union has this very aggressive Digital Services Act, which is designed to basically be a buffer between consumers and big tech, it's looking for ways that it believes its citizens are being harmed by these practices. And that's really where this is being scrutinized. This investigation has been underway for a year already. And basically what the Commission is saying is that while TikTok says it has remedies in place, it says there are screen time limitations, you can opt out of a lot of these practices. It says that those measures are basically too easily dismissed, too complicated, and parents simply can't figure them out. They're saying, that that's not sufficient.
And I know that this is a preliminary ruling. It's not the final decision. So how serious is this moment for TikTok, and what does it set in motion in terms of procedure?
It seems mostly like a warning to TikTok that this is where we're at in our thinking right now as the European Commission, and you still have time to change. There are no fines associated with this preliminary opinion. It's simply basically staking out where it is right now. And TikTok does have the right to change its practices. That's what the European Commission is calling for, and avoid fines because they are quite hefty. If at the end of this investigation, and we don't know how long that would be, the Commission comes to the conclusion that TikTok has not and will not change its behavior, it could fine it up to 6% of its annual global turnover. So, wow. A fine that would hit it at least a bit hard. Brent.
And what do we know about TikTok's response to these accusations?
TikTok came out with a statement after the announcement today and said that it is completely untrue. Let me just read to you what the company said. It says the Commission's preliminary findings present a categorically false and entirely meritless depiction of our platform, and we will take whatever steps are necessary to challenge these findings through every means available to us. That does not indicate whether it believes those means are actually making the changes, simply that it will be putting up a legal battle. So we're not really sure what TikTok will do.
I mean, it seems that the tide of maybe popular opinion for social media is changing dramatically, particularly here in Europe. When you think of Spain and France, they've already decided that they're going to ban social media for people under the age of 16. We've got other countries here in Europe considering that. Is this just the beginning? I mean, could other platforms, could they have the same fate as TikTok here in the EU? And if that happens, is this going to put the EU and the United States on a collision course? Because we know in the US, platforms cannot be held responsible for the content.
I think we're already pretty far down that road of a collision course, Brent, as we've discussed here before. And the DSA was put in place exactly to do what this is, to be the regulator which allows big tech, which stops allowing big tech to basically, it feels, take advantage of consumers. And you've seen those national regulations come into place, and we're likely to see more of them, especially restraints on users under 16. But even under the DSA, you've already seen TikTok actually make some adjustments when it got complaints from the Commission on not allowing information to be accessible by researchers. You've also got the DSA looking at Facebook, at Instagram, at Meta, at Google. So I think we're going to see a lot more of these cases unfold as the investigations get underway. And let's not forget that the first fine has already been delivered under the DSA, and that's 120 million euros against none other than Elon Musk's X. That's
exactly right. It'll be interesting, too, to see what happens with these platforms as we get closer to the U.S. midterms, and then maybe that'll be a rehearsal for what happens when the next presidential election. Again, the European connection here is important. Terry Schultz for us in Brussels. Terry, as always, thank you.
Thank you.